Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back. My excitement level is through the roof, Dill. I
Yeah,
can't tell you
yeah,
how
we're pumped.
excited
We're
I am
pumped.
for this segment, new
Yeah,
segment. We've been with the movers and shakers, AP poll every Monday. Um, First movers and shakers of our own rankings, our own top 30. We're going to talk about it. We're going to
Mhm.
dive into a little bit, talk about why we placed teams where we did, and then we're going to dive into comparison to the AP poll and the biggest differences between us and the voters. So let's kick it off, Dill. First pick, first difference. Michigan at 1, Arizona at 2. Let's give a little justification here why we have this.
yeah. I mean, Michigan has an argument of being maybe the best 13, 14, 15 game start of all time. They're just absolutely blowing teams out of the water. They played USC at home. The line was 22.5. USC was the number 24th team in the nation at the time, and not only that, they covered it. It's like really, really solid, man. They have all their pieces in a row. Everyone is playing really well. That coach knows what he's doing. I think it's very obvious Michigan should be the number one team in the nation, but I know the AP poll has it a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, having had Arizona at 1 for so long, like they've been against over Michigan from the jump. It feels like, and it's just like I
Yeah,
just feel like as a voter, their mindset is probably just like we're just not going to go back, and we're not going to go back on it now, but because Arizona hasn't lost and they haven't looked bad per se, but Michigan has just looked so much more dominant, and I think you're starting to see the trend. If you really dive into the votes and you see the voting difference, it's getting closer and closer every week. I think Michigan's
yeah,
won. Michigan's won in the coaches poll. I think that's a very accurate representation. But yeah.
yeah.
Next one we got Iowa State at 3. Again, matching up with the AP poll. They got them at 3. We got them at 3. Not much to say there either. They've looked incredible all season. Really. I mean that win at Purdue was probably one of the top 3 wins in the country so far. I would say just the way they handle business at Purdue, such a hard place to win.
Yeah.
Yeah, so not much
Yeah, I
to
mean
say.
Texas Tech and Duke. Yeah, Texas Tech
Yeah,
and Duke
that
is probably up
definitely
there as
that's what I'm
well.
saying. Like I think there's arguably like
Yeah, no, it's yeah,
top
that's
3
that's definitely up
win,
there though.
but
Top three. Yeah,
so
I agree. I agree.
first difference, first kind of bombshell when we got here. Gonzaga at 4 compared to what are they? What are they 9?
Eight, I
8.
believe.
They're 8 in the AP poll. We got them
Eight.
at 4. Dylan, why don't you just dive into why justify this a little bit? Why we got this?
Yeah, I think I was more on board with putting Gonzaga this high. I think other than the Michigan game, I think literally other than the Michigan game, they have been the third best team in the country, and it's maybe have an argument for the second best team in the country. Obviously, they get blown out by Michigan in Players Era. You look at the advanced stats on Ken Palm. They're the number 7 team in offensive rating and number 10 defensively, and they played a really decent schedule for who they are. Like we know that Gonzaga usually has a cakewalk of a schedule in the conference, but in terms of non-conference stuff, like they've had their games, and Mark Few doesn't run away from tough games, and they've played some tough road games, some tough neutral games, and they've looked really, really, really good, Steve. Other than one game, so I don't think that I'm going to punish them that much for the one game that they get blown out by. It's a loss. A 1 point loss is the same as a 30 point loss. It's still a loss. So I feel very comfortable with Gonzaga at 4.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Honestly, when we talked about this earlier and we put this list together, I was kind of a little skeptical just because it was such a shock. And when like you said, when I really sat there and thought about it for a second, I was like, man, like if you know, when we're putting this list together, I told Dylan, I was like, I want this to be more of a power ranking more than a AP poll, more of like a resume. Obviously, the resume is a big factor, but I really wanted it to come down to like I'm ranking the teams that I think regardless of records, right now you roll the ball out, who are the best 30 teams in the country. So
Yeah.
I think when it comes down to it, I think Gonzaga is a top 4, top 5 team in the country. So I think that was a
Yeah.
good pick for us there. We'll see what people say about it. UConn at 5, Duke at 6, Purdue at 7. Kind of the same order that the AP poll has. I think it's just, or is Duke below Purdue in the AP poll?
It looks like Duke, and then it looks like Purdue, and then Duke is after Purdue.
Yeah, that's what I
And then
thought.
UConn's before Purdue.
So kind of the same order we had, just UConn. They're all moved up one spot from
Yeah.
us moving Gonzaga up, but honestly, pretty similar resumes all around. I think Purdue with their one loss, Duke with their one loss, UConn with their one loss. I think everyone has that one blemish on their record, but they're all kind of in that similar tier, I guess you could say.
Purdue, I feel like their loss. So the AP poll has Purdue at 5 and Duke at 6. I will say I feel like the Purdue loss was in a more dominant fashion than the Duke loss, and I feel like that Texas Tech win. Texas Tech is a good team, and it was a neutral site. If anything, it was more at Texas Tech, right? I think it was in Texas or somewhere.
That was in
right?
Madison Square Garden, Cameron
Not even
North.
close. Okay, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was neutral site though, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I do feel like the Purdue loss was worse than the Duke loss, and if you look at advanced stats, the Duke's strength of schedule is harder than the Purdue strength of schedule. So I don't know.
Dill, not to use your own words against you here, but you literally just talked about Gonzaga's one loss, and you said it doesn't matter if it's a 1-point loss or a 30-point loss. A loss is a loss. So you use the same.
Agreed.
You use the same argument that the Gonzaga loss isn't as bad because they got mollywopped by Michigan.
Yes, I'm disregarding scores when I say that. I'm thinking of a Michigan loss. They lose against Michigan, and then Purdue.
Gotcha.
Who does Purdue lose to? Purdue lost to whoever at home.
They lost
right?
to Iowa State.
And then Duke.
So Iowa State's a
no,
better
Iowa State-
loss than.
No, I know.
Oh, I thought you were trying to
no.
justify that. You were trying to justify that Duke's loss was better than Purdue's loss.
I think that Duke's strength of schedule and their wins and their loss is comparable. And
Gotcha.
I think that I just give the edge to Duke, and I also just think head to head, I would take Duke.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what it comes down to. Is I think head to head, like who do I think is better, and that's how we move them up. I like UConn over both of those two schools, and I agree. I think Duke is better than Purdue as well. I will say I think obviously Braden Smith is gonna be an All-American just because of the bias and all that, and him being so good for so long, but. I don't. Is it a hot take to say he's not really having that great of a year? I mean, he's only averaging 13 points a game, and I think people will say he's still leading a great team. So it's like, he's doing more, and it's not really showing up on the stat sheet. But I saw a comparison between Keaton Wagler and him and their stats, and they were like, one's a potential All-American, the other is like barely Big Ten, All Big Ten. So we'll see about that, but. Next, we got BYU at 8, Houston at 9. This was a tough one for me and Dill. Dill is real big on BYU. I would lean Houston a little bit more here at 8. Kind of a coin flip between us two, but maybe edge out for the offensive team. More dynamic offensively. I don't know.
So. It's interesting. It's interesting. I think if it was head-to-head, specifically head-to-head in a vacuum, then sure, I'll probably give the edge to Houston. I do just feel like BYU has just more potential. And I feel like if it was BYU versus the field and Houston versus the field, I feel more comfortable with BYU versus the field, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I think the best for Houston is yet to come, though. I think their one loss was a little bit, tough loss, neutral site to Tennessee at the Players era, but like I think they're going to dominate in the Big 12. Like I think they're going to run the league. I think they're going to regular season win most likely. I think you're only going to see them go up. I think BYU has more potential for hiccups in the conference play. So that's all I'll say on that.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
10 and 11, we got two surprises here. We got undefeated Vanderbilt, undefeated Nebraska. Why do you have Vanderbilt over Nebraska? Why? What conclusion did we come to on that?
In one, the coach more, and two, just the individual players themselves. I think that they're a three-headed monster. Tyler Tanner has been absolutely phenomenal for them. And they've just been really fun to watch on offense. Duke Miles, another guy that can go. Tyler Nickel, another guy can go. Like, they have three guys that I can really, really rely on. And they also just shoot the cover out the basketball, too. And I just, at the end of the day, man, college basketball is just think it just comes down to how can you best fit your system to the best of your abilities? How can you maximize your guys to the best of your abilities? I think we talked about that yesterday a little bit, and I think Vanderbilt does a really, really good job with that. They've had some good wins too, so I give the slight edge to Vanderbilt there.
Yeah, I think Vanderbilt is still seeking for that like bona fide like win. I mean, I think I think Nebraska has a little bit. I know we just said we're kind of thinking like in a vacuum head to head is more important here for our list. But just talking about resumes, I think Nebraska has the better resume. You know, they have a signature win against Michigan State, you know, a top 15 team in the country.
Yeah.
I think Vanderbilt's still seeking for that. But I mean, it's to come. You know, SEC play every win. I mean, they probably played the worst team in the SEC to open, you know, easy first win at South Carolina. So
they did play at South Carolina.
Yeah.
A road game and the SEC is tough, you know.
Yeah, no matter who it is. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So, next we got Michigan State at 12. Tough road loss. They played on the road at Nebraska, right? That's the game they lost, or was it home? It was away.
It was away.
Yeah, it was away. Tough loss for them. I think.
It was away.
I was literally just watching them play. Who were they playing tonight?
Michigan State is playing USC.
Yeah, they were playing USC. They were just destroying them, and I guess USC is a credible enough team, especially because we got them in our top 30, and they were just destroying them. Like it was dismantling them. So I think it really just comes down to offense for Michigan State. You know, Cohen Carr is probably the most athletic dude I've ever seen in college. But, man, like, if he can just give me 1 or 2 threes a game, that's all you need. Jeremiah Fear, step up, make 1 or 2 threes. That's all they need. That's all they need is if they shoot 30% from 3, I think they'll win a good bit of games. So
I'm with you. I agree.
Alabama at 13, good win at home against Kentucky. Kentucky, man, they look rough, but Alabama, I think they're always kind of floating in this teen range, you know, never too low, never too high, because they're playing such a tough schedule. Every non-conference game is tough for them. You know, they schedule tough mid-majors, they schedule tough neutral site games against top 25 teams. Like, NATO's does not shy away from scheduling. So credit to them for that. I think, if anything, it just prepares them for SEC play more than anything. They play such a tough schedule, and then they get into SEC play. They've already played these tough games. They've been battle tested. They're another team that I would throw in there with like Houston. Of like, I think you're going to see them start to climb the list as the weeks go on. I think they're going to. Yeah. I think they're one of two or three favorites to win the SEC regular season now. I think especially with the fall off of Kentucky and Florida, I think it's kind of, I won't say it's wide open, but like it's definitely like it could be up for anyone. I mean, Vanderbilt's, you know, probably the betting favorite right now. Who knows? So
no, and that's what I'll say about that is Alabama has an extremely tough schedule, like you just said. And their losses are all valid losses.
Yeah.
And if you look at somebody like Vanderbilt, for example, Vanderbilt has almost like not a cakewalk schedule. They played a couple of high majors, but their schedule is much easier. They're looking for that one marquee matchup, their one marquee win. The next game in conference, Alabama's playing at Vanderbilt. So
that'll be a great game.
Whoever wins that game to shoot up the list. I mean, at least, you know, if Vanderbilt gets that win, we're talking about them. Are we talking about them, you know, 5 or 6 range? Like that's a really big win for them if they get that done.
Yeah,
if Alabama wins, like it's just like another win on the resume that's like huge.
If Vanderbilt gets a win against Alabama, you know, I don't know who BYU and Houston are playing, so it would depend. You know, that would factor in too. But I think they're definitely good to shoot up at least to like 7, in my opinion. I don't know if I'm putting them in the top 5, but so yeah. Texas Tech at 14. Louisville at 15. Louisville with a tough loss. They had their West Coast trip. They played at Cal to open up, took care of business, and then played at Stanford and lost. No,
Yeah.
Michael Brown Jr. I mean, I don't know what the deal is with him. Seems like another like weird situation. Pat Kelsey's been very cryptic on interviews when it comes to injuries with the team, especially prior. Like he's been really skeptical with his injuries. Like he was a DNP, didn't really expand on the injury at all. So he had like kind of like a snappy talk back to the press about not wanting to talk about injuries or anything. Are you a little skeptical? I don't know what the right word to use is. Are you scared for where Louisville can go in the coming weeks, up or down? Michael Brown's out against Duke next week, by the way.
Yes. The short answer is yes. Long answer is I'm just gonna trust Patino, or not Patino, Pat Kelsey. I'm just gonna trust that staff. I'm gonna trust what they do over there. And at the end of the day, like they have the pieces, bro. Like they have dudes. Like if you just look at like if you look at the outside in, you look at Louisville. I think they just have like dudes, just talented guys, and like they might be in the top 5 or 10 of like most talented rosters. I just think it's been really hard for them to figure it out because they have so many pieces, and because their schedule has been so good this year. So I'm scared of where Michael Brown is. Yeah, I'm scared of where that might end up going. But I think he's a really good player, and if they get anything more out of him, they're going to be a really good team.
Starting to sound like a very similar situation to Darren Peterson at Kansas. St. John's.
Yes, that is true. I agree. Like the Louisville, I think Louisville and St. John's almost fit the same mold in terms of a lot of transfers, a lot of very high talented guys, but have really struggled to figure it out. Even though I think Louisville has some.
I think that's a bit of a stretch, to be honest. I don't agree with that. I don't agree in that take at all to compare St. John's to Louisville. Like, I think Louisville brings in transfers, but they also retain a lot. Like I feel like they retain a lot of players that, they have like a culture there. And not to say that St. John's doesn't have a culture, but St. John's is more of like, hey, like I'm picking players out of the portal and like we're just playing with whatever. That's just my view of it.
If you look at their roster, almost all of them didn't start at Louisville. But I agree, they Captain Pryor has stayed there for a while. The White Shooter's been there for this is the second year now. He didn't stay there, I guess.
Yeah. 16 Iowa. Man, they've looked good. It's good. I think this is the plus side of transfer portal, coaches switching schools so often. Like, Iowa's a good program, man. And I think that like being able to give so much success in year one, and I think this was the most expected like good year out of anyone that was coming to the new level. Like they killed it at Drake last year. Bennett Sturton, Ben McCollum. He's bringing those same guys over. They brought in I have no idea how to pronounce his name. I think it's like Fogu something. The dude from the mid-major.
Fulgaris.
Yeah, Fulgaris. Like, I think this was the most like they weren't ranked preseason, but I think I was like, man, they're gonna be ranked at some point. Like they're gonna be a great team. They're gonna make the tournament. Honestly, it was kind of a no doubter in my brain. Like this team was gonna be good. So we'll see how they do in Big Ten play.
Yeah. To be fair, I expect Iowa to be in this range for a lot of the season. I don't see them as a top 10 team like ever. I don't think they're going to be like that, but I think that's a terrifying team come second, third game of March Madness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll probably go 500 in conference, maybe a little. They'll probably go like 10-8, maybe. That's my view. 9-7, maybe. Right around the middle of the pack. Well, they'll be above the middle of the pack, but I think, like you said, I don't think they have a chance of winning the Big Ten. I don't think they have a chance of really competing with the top schools. But, yeah. UNC 17, tough loss on the road at SMU after a pretty decent win against Florida State. Yeah, not much to say on UNC. I think, they handle business in the ACC. I think I said this earlier, like back before they played the SMU game. I was like, man, like they could rattle off some wins here. They could roll into this Duke game like with maybe like 1 or 2 conference losses and be, strictly off record alone could be a top 10 team. They'll probably be, if they did, they'd probably be like an AP poll top 10 team, which doesn't have so much validity as it used to. But yeah. 18 Georgia. Yeah. We got to give some love to Georgia, man.
Yes. Yeah, Georgia's been really good. I think that they are similar to Vanderbilt in the terms of they haven't had a huge marquee win, but their dudes have looked really good. Their offense is maybe top 3, 5 in the country. They're run and gun, shoot a lot of threes, but they make a lot of threes as well. I think they shoot 34% from 3. But if you shoot a lot, like you're going to make a lot of threes too. So they look really good. Their offenses looked really good. Tough loss earlier in the season at Clemson by 3 points. So if they score 4 more points against that Clemson team, they're undefeated this season. And we're talking about them maybe top 10-ish, like same Vanderbilt range.
Yeah.
I think this is another team where we're like, let's wait for Vanderbilt to start the SEC. Well, let's also wait for Georgia to start the SEC. And I think this is the real true test now. But that win against Auburn was a huge win. And that went into OT. Like, that's a tough win. I know Auburn's not as good as they normally are. But, dude, at the end of the day, Auburn is Auburn. And that's an SEC win is an SEC win. So I think they've looked really, really good.
Yeah, I was about to say that Clemson game, that loss was in Charleston at the Charleston Classic too. So it's neutral site,
yeah.
like toss-up game. Yep. And Clemson's a good team too. So Blue Cane has really started to shoot up draft boards too. That's one thing I've noticed. I don't think we have him that high on either of ours, just because he's an older guy and stuff like that. But he is starting to shoot up on other people's boards, which I think has to mean something. Like, I mean, I know anyone nowadays can put out a draft board, but says something. 19 Arkansas, great first win against Tennessee at home. Illinois at 20. I have not paid attention at all to who Illinois played to start conference play. Probably should know, considering I have them in our top 30, but
in Penn State, they won at Penn State.
Okay, so a cakewalk. You got anything to say on those two schools?
No, I like Illinois. Illinois is another one of like these Alabama or another one of these schools that just schedule ridiculously tough games, and all their losses have been to all ranked teams. So I'm not worried about Illinois. They'll be in this range or better, at the end of the season.
Yeah. Virginia 21. I watched Virginia play Virginia Tech. It went into like triple overtime. It was a very good game to watch. Different aside from this top 30 movers and shakers. I want to talk about Neo. I don't know how to say his last name. The Greece dude.
Yeah, the freshman.
Yeah, the Greek dude. Like, man, I get like I don't know how you look at him and don't think like European. He's Luka. Like, he's literally college Luka. Like, he moves just like him. His play style is so similar. Like, he's always got the ball in his hands. He loves shooting. Like, he shot probably like 5 of those little like left wing, like really slow step back. He shoots the ball over his head like Luka. Like, turnovers are an issue with him. Bad shots are an issue. Bad passes, all that. So very similar. I think that like his shooting splits have to be awful because just watching that one game, he was making a lot of bad decisions. But like. I could see him being a very good NBA player. He's going to be shooting up my draft boards going into SEC or ACC play and seeing all that. Tennessee at 22, Kansas at 23. Two teams, honestly, that have not looked at their best, especially to start conference play, both with tough losses on the road. Tennessee losing at Arkansas, Kansas losing at UCF. I guess the one thing I'll say, well, let's talk about 2 things. One, Nate Ament for Tennessee, man, like he's looked awful this season.
No, they're 2 very similar teams in the fact that they both rely on their freshmen heavily, and one of their freshmen has been terrible, and the other freshman can't stay healthy. So just 2 unfortunate spots. Nate Ament Tough, man. You love the makeup. 6'10", long, athletic,
Hmm.
can shoot the ball. At least he could in high school. But just really struggled this year. And I think that he's in his head some. I think there might be some guy on the sidelines on his team that's like kind of getting in his head or something. But like somebody needs to get in his ear, like, hey, bro, you're a good player. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Because I mean, you couldn't ask for a better prospect in terms of like NBA potential. But Steve, you're right, man. Just really disappointing. Kansas, dude. I mean, we're huge fans of Darren Peterson. He's
Hmm.
going to be an absolute demon at the next level. I don't, but there are red flags when it comes to the injury stuff. I don't know if it's valid. I don't know if it's invalid, but either way, it's a red flag. So, yeah, dude, I don't know. I think Tennessee's been really disappointing for me. Kansas has been slightly disappointing. I think they're picking it up and they're finding their identity without Darren Peterson, and he's so good that even if they do find that identity without him, he's so good that he can just plug and play right into it. If that makes sense.
Hmm. Um, do you think Nate Ament is gonna have to come back to college for another year?
It's too early to tell. I think.
You
I
think
think
so?
just
I
give
mean,
him another.
it's been half a
I
season.
do.
Like,
Yeah, but if he has a good SEC, like somebody's gonna draft him. Top 10. If he has a good, like, if he gets 17 a game off of 39% shooting from three, somebody will draft him.
yeah, I find that hard to believe that that's gonna happen though. The way he's trending right now, that's why I asked the question. Is just like been reading a lot of stuff of people talking about him coming back for another year. Like he's not even a guaranteed first round pick anymore. He's slipped out of
Uh,
majority of people's lotteries.
would you draft him in the lottery?
Not right now, honestly. I don't think I would right now. I think
I don't know. I probably.
this last week I think I put him on my big board in my lottery solely just because of like the makeup and the build and him just already being in the lottery. I think I should have thought more about it, honestly, if I'm being honest. Like you said, the build is there. He's got all the tools, but there has to be something. There has to be something said about like if you don't produce like in college and stuff, like there's got to be something said like
Yeah.
that's got to
No.
you can't just draft guys based off their size and stuff. I think that's where it's
100%.
it's a huge swing or miss. Like you're either hitting a home run and he turns out to be Kevin Durant in the NBA, or he's a bust. So I lean
Yeah.
more
No,
bust
I agree.
there. Villanova 24 and Utah State 25. Dill, I know these were two of your big schools when we talked about this top 30. Tell me a little bit about both of them.
I guess I'll go more into Villanova. I think it's really interesting what Kevin Willard's doing there. It's not the legendary coach that we're used to, but I think that he's doing a really good job. They have some good wins. They had a really good loss to BYU earlier in the season, and it's interesting because I think there's a lot of at the beginning of the season. There's a lot of preseason bias that goes into these like rankings and stuff. And I remember watching the BYU game when they played Villanova, and like I think Jay Billis was on the call, and he's just like, man, like just saying all the good things about Villanova, and like he really sold me on them. And I think they've been pretty good this year. Like they've had a couple of tough losses, but Big East is gonna be down this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if like Villanova sneaks into like a 2 seed in the Big East tournament, or like maybe like a 3 seed. You
Oh,
know what I mean? Because I feel like
I've been reading some stuff. I think they are arguably the second best team in the Big East right now.
yeah. And so I
So
wouldn't be surprised if they're a 2 seed in the Big East, and that's gonna project in March Madness.
yeah, yeah. Anything on Utah State? I know this was your big mid-major school. You don't want to dive into that, or
Yeah,
you
just real
fine?
quick. Yeah, real quick. They've returned a lot of guys. They're an older team. That's a school that has a lot of potential, and the advanced metrics really check out for them. So I trust the advanced metrics and I trust the experience with them. And I think there's 24 teams better than them, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the field is probably probably I think I like this spot for them.
Not to put you on the spot here or anything. I'm really just curious. When you talk about advanced metrics, like what are you specifically looking at there?
Right now. Utah State is 39th in offensive rating and 34th in defensive rating, and their luck has been average. The luck factor is like opponent free throw makes, referee calls. It's a bunch of just luck you can get in college basketball. So if your luck
Yeah.
is really really good, sometimes your numbers could look really really good. They just check the boxes. Like they're not deficient in anything. Let's see, their tempo is 123rd, which is right in the middle of the pack. They don't play too fast. They don't play too slow. I think they're just a really heady team, which makes sense because they're an old team. They're going to be experienced. They're going to be heady. They're going to be solid. So I think the ceiling on a mid-major team like Utah State isn't going to be great. Like, I don't expect them to be in the top 15, but I think their floor is going to be pretty good. So,
yeah, that's good. I think you've said that a lot recently, and especially teams like you said that are very like analytical thinking teams, like with analytical coaches. That you say that a lot, and I was just for myself and for the viewers, just so they know what you mean.
Yeah. That's
26 Indiana, 27 SMU, 28 Clemson, 29 UCF, 30 Southern Cal. Between the five of them, who do you think is like teetering on like you barely made it, and who do you think out of those five is like, hey, like this team could shoot up the rankings?
I'll keep it short on the barely made it. USC. I didn't love their ranking 25 earlier in the year. Lost, so they barely made it. I like Clemson, dude, and we've talked about it before. Like, they're a good team. They've had some good wins, and they got, how many votes did they get for? They looked like they're 30 in the AP poll voting, but they've looked good, man. And SEC is not going to be as good as it was last year. They've had some returning guys. I think Hunter's been there for 18 years at this point. Like, he's been in that program forever. So
it's not Chase Hunter. It's his brother, Dylan Hunter.
Hunter, yeah. I said Hunter. I didn't say one of the first names.
Yeah, you said Hunter, but I think you meant, you were thinking about Chase Hunter because he had been there 6 years.
Yeah, no, I think Dylan Hunter's been there for 4 years too. But regardless, that's a very underrated coach, and you would know it more than I know. But I do like that coach a lot, and I think that's a really solid school.
Yeah, I agree. I think when we talked about the last makeup of this and teams sneaking in, we talked about Clemson, and we were just like, man, like we started digging into their resume a little more and their wins and stuff like that, and we were like, man, they got a great resume. They got a great resume, and we like the makeup of the team. We like the coach. Like, this could be a great team. And ACC play, like, I mean, I think they're a sneaky like top 5 ACC team that can really come. They're a team that like, you get a lot of top 5 teams or like teams near in the top of the conference that are like, like they're good teams, but they can't compete with the Dukes. They can't compete with the Louisvilles. I think Clemson can compete with these teams. I think they can give them good comp. So I think those will be great games when they play these teams.
I agree.
All right, Dill. It's good first week. Good first week of our new segment, Top 30 Movers and Shakers. Anything else you wanted to go over?
Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago, I made the bold prediction that we were going to be talking about Kentucky in 2 weeks. We did not talk about Kentucky in 2 weeks. So I think I'm putting in my letter of resignation on Kentucky Wildcats for the season.
After one SEC game?
I think I'm done believing in them, Steve. I think I've been holding on too long, and I just need to let them go.
Gotcha. I think that's the right choice. I think you were a little late to it, honestly. I think I would have given up a long time ago, but yeah, it's looking rough for Mark Pope there. I mean, I know you obviously are a big Mark Pope fan and big Kentucky fan, but like just might as well just chalk up the season at this point. Pack in the bags.
It's tough, yeah.
All right, well, love diving into this. Leave some comments down below of what y'all think of the rankings. I want y'all to go down in the rankings or in the comments, pick the team that you disagree with our ranking the most, and let us know about it. We'll comment. We'll chat back with you. We'll tell you why we put these teams where we did. If you want to get into it a little bit more. But yeah, we'll come back next week. We'll see how they do. First full week of conference games. We'll see how they do. And probably we'll see a lot of movement, if I had to guess. A lot of movers, a lot of shakers.
Love it.
Love it,
Steve.
All right.
Thanks for watching.
Yep, appreciate you guys.